Hello everyone and welcome back to the Science Studio here at Macquarie University's Open Day. We are so excited that you can join us. My name is Meg and I'm a student here at Macquarie University studying a Masters of Research in Environmental Science. Now here in the studio with me I have Professor Glenn Brock, who is from our Department of Biological Sciences. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Meg.
And he's going to take us through a presentation about biology and paleobiology here at Macquarie. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm very happy to be here today just to give you a little presentation and then afterwards a little Q&A about biology and paleobiology and the programs that we run here at Macquarie University. So maybe we could start the presentation and we could talk about the fantastic biology that we have here at Macquarie University. Biology, of course, is the study of living organisms, from the single cell and the DNA within that cell to the most complex ecosystems that we have on the planet. And here at Macquarie University, we have experts in all of those fields, from the molecular right up to the ecosystem. So we study things such as the evolution of life on Earth, genetics, the genetic code, cells and development, form and function, anatomy, ecology and distribution, as well as a whole heap of other things that I haven't got space and time to talk about. In biology, we have a staff here that are world leading. And that's why, since 2010, biology at Macquarie is ranked well above world standard by the Excellence in Research for Australia. And those happen every 2 or 3 years, where the university departments are ranked based on their scholarship and their production of scientific material. And biology ranks right up there. So from the point of view of studying biology, Macquarie is the place to come. We have great flexibility in the programs that we offer, and the ones that I'm going to talk about today are specializations, where you have a core stream of subjects, but a whole heap of electives that you can choose to build your own program. Class sizes are managed to facilitate small groups, but we can also take large groups as well, especially in first year, in a friendly, supportive, and a highly technically advanced type of lab setting. We have really great state-of-the-art facilities, digital labs, where you can do basic to really high-level experiments and a whole heap of equipment as well. And of course, especially in second and third year, you've got lots of fieldwork opportunities. Here's an example of one of the state-of-the-art digital labs. This one is pre-COVID, so lots more people, but of course it's been rearranged under the COVID world, so there's much more spacing, but still everything is working and students are coming in and utilising the fantastic state-of-the-art digital wet labs that we have in biological sciences. The teaching philosophy of the department is that essentially all units are taught by research active scientists, and the key thing about that is that you're going to therefore learn about the basic and latest biological research that's going on, because the people who are teaching you are actually producing that research. So our staff are winners of university and national teaching awards, and they'll inspire you to explore all of the different streams that the biological world has to offer. At the department, we're very proud to support student diversity, inclusiveness and sustainability throughout the whole department, and indeed the faculty. So let's have a look at some of the specializations. The Bachelor of Science in Biological Sciences has 4 specializations, but I'll only talk about the first 3: biology, paleobiology, ecology and evolutionary biology. Human biology is being dealt with elsewhere. And within those 3 specializations, you can specialize in zoology or botany, genetics, behavior, molecular biology, ecology or paleobiology. So let's have well, the first thing I should say is that at first year, when you come to the university, if you start next year, there's a whole range of units that you can do at 100 level or 1000 level, as we call it now, from organisms to ecosystems, to genes to organisms, covering the whole gamut of the biological world, as well as being introduced to some skills in the laboratory in a unit called Biology in Practice. We also have some other first year units human biology and biological basis of behaviour that you can also take as electives. The biology specialisation is a broad-based specialisation that covers a whole range of the fundamentals of biological sciences. You would do those first three first-year units that I talked about, from organisms to ecosystems, genes to organisms, and biology in practice. And then in second year, you'll choose 4 units from a range of different subjects, some discipline areas. If you really like organismal biology, then you might do zoology and you might do botany, or you might do some molecular things. Then in third year, you have another wide range of subjects to select, along with a faculty capstone. The Paleobiology Specialization is unique really to Macquarie University in that it provides you with a deep time perspective of the evolution of life. The biology specialization looks at the current day biodiversity and all the animals in the living system. In the paleobiology specialization, we look at deep time and the lineages of evolution that brought us to the current day biodiversity that we see. So you do a similar suite of first year units, including one GEOS unit, the habitable planet, and then at second year, some evolutionary history of life type core units, as well as some electives that you can choose. At third year, you'd specialise in a unit called paleobiology, but then you'd take a suite of biology and geology subjects along with the capstone. And the last specialisation that we have is really focused on ecology and evolution. It's really trying to understand the theory of evolution and its central unifying concept in biological sciences. So at first year, it's similar to the other specializations, but then you really focus in on those evolutionary and ecological subjects that we offer here at Macquarie. Of course, the other great thing about Macquarie is that in your third year, you can take on a PACE unit, a professional and community engagement activity, where you can actually work in an area that you have specialised in by the time that you end your degree, and that might be in a research lab, or it might be in a hospital or a museum, the aquarium, national park. All sorts of opportunities are available for you to get some really great career experience in the discipline area that you really want to get a job in. So you would do that in your third year as part of your degree program. Some of the careers in biological sciences range from, if you're interested in the micro world, microbiology and molecular biology, you can work in biotechnology and medical research as a scientific officer, a lab technician, sales rep, or a whole range of different jobs offered by a whole range of employers, including the ones that are listed here, the EPA, the hospitals, research institutes, and lots of commercial pathological services. So there's a whole range of things that you can do and use as a career pathway for in biological sciences. You might be more interested in the environment or ecology, and you might want to be a ranger at a national park or a scientific officer somewhere out in the field, looking at natural resources. So there are lots of employment opportunities in state forests, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and a whole range of local councils all have environmental officers. So the skills that you get here at Macquarie University will set you up very nicely. Of course, you can use the skills that you have in also becoming a scientific, becoming someone who teaches biology. So you've learnt all of this biological data, and then you go into outreach, or with a degree combined with the Bachelor of Education, you can become a teacher in biology as well. So here at Macquarie University, you can see if you type in biology, you get a huge word cloud, and I've put 2 in here. And this is the range of different things that you can study here at Macquarie University, and this will certainly bring you lots of opportunities at the end of the 3 years of your degree and your specialisation here at Macquarie University.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that presentation, Professor Brock. I found it really interesting to go down memory lane, as I did a Bachelor of Marine Science here at Macquarie. So would you be able to tell us, for people who might be in like year 10 trying to choose their subjects for year 11 and 12, is it important to pick science subjects, or can they come to our science, particularly in biology degrees, without that kind of background knowledge?
Great question. Thanks, Meg. Well, I mean, it's obviously a great thing. If you're really interested in biology, you should try and do biology at years 10, 11 and 12. It's a great introduction to university and for your first year biology, so it'll put you ahead of the game. But if you haven't done any science, you can still come to Macquarie, and that first year primer that you'll get in those 1,000 level units will set you up very nicely for the degree. So there is no actual, it's not actually necessary to do biology or even science. We certainly highly recommend it. So if you're interested in that science subject area, then certainly do it, but you don't need to. You will get all of that training at first year for your degree program.
Definitely. I can definitely vouch for that, because I did biology in high school, but when I came to my first year, we got a refresh of all of that content.
Yep.
And I definitely know that was very helpful even for me to be able to pursue that in my future career.
Great.
I also forgot to mention, everyone, that if you do have any questions for Professor Brock or about the Bachelor of Biology or Paleobiology here at Macquarie, please put them in the Q&A panel on the right-hand side of your screen, or if you want to talk more in depth, please ask an expert down in the chat box down the bottom of the screen. So would you be able to tell us how students might be able to decide which aspect of biology is for them? So you talked about a range of different ones like paleobiology or evolutionary biology. How do you reckon they could go about deciphering which one would be right for them?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Well, the first year subjects are designed to cover all of the subject areas. So normally in your first session, you might be learning about organisms to ecosystems. So you'll kind of really find out whether you like kind of at the organism level, so plants and animals, or you might like things at the bigger level, like at ecosystem level and conservation, biology and things like that. In the second half of the year, you'll look at the microbe world. So you'll look at molecular and microbial. So in that first year, you get a good selection of all of the major discipline areas in biology. And the great thing about that is then you can choose what you've really loved, and then you can start looking in second year at subjects that help develop this in your career and your undergraduate pathway. The other really important thing to do is talk to an advisor. So if you get a chance to talk to one of the academics about, what subjects can I do, and I'm really interested in this, it's a great idea to talk to an advisor.
Definitely. And that's something that you can do today, everyone, by asking an expert. Or once you actually get to university, you can book an appointment and talk to those people to help make those decisions for you. So we do have a question coming in here which asks, what career options would you have from doing a degree in the biological sciences?
Well, yeah, so the degree, of course, is the Bachelor of Science, and the specialisation is in in biology, paleobiology, or ecology and evolution. And so it depends on at the end of your degree program, you'll have a bit of an idea about what career you want to do, whether you want to be, someone working outdoors as a park ranger, or if you want to be in resource management, or at the other end, you might be really interested in working in a lab. So you might be looking at microbes, you might be doing genetics or molecular analyses, and so there's a whole range of jobs from biotechnology to ecosystem engineers and resource management and everything in between. So we have the biology degrees are really good here at Macquarie University, and we've got all of the listed career paths and employers are recent ones, the last 3 or 4 years at biological sciences. So that's, you've got good opportunities, definitely.
Yeah, awesome. So maybe in talking about that, if they want to get some experience, potentially, dabbling and whether they want to be like a researcher or someone, working for the national parks. Are there practical experiences that they could get involved in? Yes,
absolutely. So undergraduate students are always kind of volunteering in labs as well. So if they're interested in genetics, it's possible to talk to the academics involved, and there's always potential opportunities there. Definitely go on field trips. The field trips are really great, and they give you a really great experience about, what sort of things you're going to do when you go to the field.
Yeah.
But if you're a lab person as well, then you get lots of opportunities, not only within the units, but internships and like that throughout in the department as well,
Yeah,
which
definitely.
is fantastic.
I found, so when I did my professional and community engagement or PACE activity, I got to work in a lab with one of my lecturers, and that was a really great experience just to be able to dive into that research world and kind of help me to decide that I wanted to do a master's in research when I finished.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's fantastic.
So we have another question that asks, does that mean you can, so can we swap specializations if you start in one area and then you kind of realise maybe a couple months down the track that it's not quite for you?
Yes.
Could you possibly tell us about that process, or if it's quite easy to do?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely easy to do. So you might start off, for instance, in a biology degree, which is very broad-based, but then you might find, I'm really interested in the fossil record, or I'm really interested in understanding more about, evolution or ecology. And so it is certainly possible to swap. And you can swap out of the specializations. You can even swap out of a degree, the Bachelor of Science, into a more specialist degree like biodiversity and conservation, if that's really what you want to do.
Yeah.
So it is possible to do it. But I would recommend that you would do that, maybe after the end of your first year.
Yeah.
You can do it even into your second year, but then it obviously becomes a little bit more difficult because you may have to pick up units that you haven't done in your first year.
Yeah.
But it is certainly possible to swap. Yes, absolutely. The flexibility here at Macquarie allows you to do that for sure.
Yeah. And in kind of the same tone, if someone has an interest in two kind of different areas of whether that be science or something like law or engineering, are they able to combine those two?
In some cases, yes. I mean, there are double degrees that are still available. Generally, in the Bachelor of Science, the way that it's structured now, you would end up doing kind of a specialisation in one particular area, but you might do a minor in two other areas. So you mightn't get the full specialisation, but you do bits and pieces of other things, so you get experience at least in some of those. But there are certainly some double degrees that you can do that go really well with biological sciences.
Yeah, definitely.
Within a Bachelor of Science.
Yeah, and that can definitely help you be a lot more employable and give you a lot more experience when you come to the end of your degree. So, Professor Brock, this year's been kind of crazy for everyone with the COVID-19 situation that's going on. And you've talked a lot about practical experience and field trips and lab work. Would you be able to talk to us a little bit about how that's kind of changed and what it might look like starting next year for a Bachelor of Biology?
So certainly things have changed this year. I mean, luckily for biological sciences, there are a lot of our units that are still running face-to-face lab classes. They run for 2 hours and we might do multiple lab classes per week. We also teach them in block sessions, so you might come in for a whole day on a Saturday and do 3 labs in one hit, if you like. But we're also doing lots of online things now. So lectures are live online, kind of like what we're doing right now, or they're pre-recorded. Certainly, fieldwork has been a bit hit hard. We're still doing fieldwork in the Sydney Basin area, but obviously it's difficult to go interstate and things like that.
Yeah.
But assuming we get back to kind of normality by 2021, the hope is that we'll be able to run our normal suite of fieldwork exercises, and we'll have fully on-campus access to the wet labs that we're kind of building towards, but we're still obviously being very COVID safe at the moment as much as possible.
Definitely. Well, that's really encouraging to hear that it still can happen and there are measures in place to protect everyone involved.
Indeed.
So would you be able to take us through maybe some of the kind of research topics that the biological sciences are involved in?
Oh, yeah. Well, so many. I mean, the staff at Macquarie University are absolutely world leading. So everything from microbiology, genetics, understanding the genomes of living but also recently extinct organisms. So, from that all the way through to particular experts in plants, plant biology, animals, animal biology, from micro unicellular things way up to the biggest, to people who are interested in whale reproduction and behaviour. Anything you can think of in the biological sciences, we've pretty much got covered. Behaviour, physiology, anatomy, So all of those things are really important, and you can specialise in one of those. So if you're really interested in animal behaviour, for instance, then you can certainly specialise in that, and you can end up becoming someone who researches that, or may get a job as a laboratory assistant in that particular discipline area.
Awesome. And I guess with that, would you maybe be able to describe to us some of the avenues students who could pursue when they come to the end of their study of a bachelor? Because I know for me, when I started, that was something I was already trying to figure out in terms of being employable and getting a job once I finished. So what are some of the avenues students could pursue?
Well, I think one of the really good things that we have is the PACE opportunity. Yeah. So, I mean, I think you found that yourself, and most students at Macquarie University have that ability in their third year to really get a taste for what it's like to be, someone who works in a lab, or someone who works in a museum, or in a laboratory. So that's, I think, the key thing, and that culminates in your third year. But certainly you should talk to the staff, talk about opportunities. There are always pathways that you can help in the field. You can help research students in the field or in the lab. There's always ways to get more experience outside of the units that you're going to do, and that's always a great thing to do. So there's plenty of opportunities to find your particular pathway into a career, or like you might want to do a little bit more postgraduate research to lead to even a better job after that. Let's hope so for you.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned a lot about field trips, and I know for me that was something that really drew me to Macquarie, was the way that they were able to incorporate that kind of field experience into the content they were learning in class. Could you maybe talk to us about what some of your favourite field trips you've been on here at Macquarie?
Yes, well, I've been really lucky here at Macquarie. I've run quite a few field trips. I used to run, of course, the Heron Island field trip, which is kind of like 9 days on Heron Island on the Great Barrier Reef.
I've done that unit. It was awesome.
So that's one of the favourite units. It's where you learn about the biology of the reef, the geology of the reef. You learn everything about the reef system. But even one-day trips, just to trap spiders, or to look at biodiversity, or leaf shape, leaf function, in plants. You get that opportunity within all of the units, mostly at second and third year, because at first year, of course, it's big groups, and so you can only do really local things. But in second and third year, when you're specialising, you get a lot of opportunities to do some really cool stuff.
Yeah. Definitely have a look into those units. I highly recommend. They are probably where I had the most fun, learnt the most, but also made friends and got to know the academics, and kind of helped sort out what I wanted to do when I finished.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. So I think that will bring us to the end of this session. Thank you so much, Professor Brock, for joining us. It was really great to hear about biology and paleobiology here at Macquarie. If you do have any more questions or want to talk to an expert, please feel free to put them in an Ask an Expert tab down the bottom of your screen. We will have a bunch of other sessions today about all the other science degrees at Macquarie, but we also have academics and student ambassadors who are willing and ready to talk to you about any queries that you may have. So now we are going to take a break and then come back with the environmental science. But in that meantime, if you want to check out our competitions page really quickly, we have a bunch of fun things that you could win today. And two of our competitions are Spot the Student and See Yourself at Macquarie. They're definitely really fun and a great way to engage with us, but also let out your creative juices. So thank you so much again, Professor Brock, and please stick around to hear about the Earth and Environmental Science degrees here at Macquarie.